Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of the Thriving Idealist podcast. I am so happy you're here. The Thriving Idealist podcast is a podcast that explores the question, what does it take to thrive while making your positive impact in the world? And as you know, my intention for this podcast is to help idealists all over the world cultivate your light and so that you can serve sustainably and thrive as you make your positive impact in the world. So, welcome, welcome. So excited to share a solo cast today, which is going to be me riffing on a topic of mine that I'm nerding out about. And today I wanted to, since it's the Happy New Year, welcome to 2023. If you're listening to this currently, it's a happy new year, and a new year is usually the new year is usually that time of the year when we start exploring and reflecting on the lives we want, right? We think about how 2022 was and how the other years were, and if they were in alignment with the lives that we feel called to live, right? And so this is that time of the year. It's January 9th. So, everyone's still reflecting on the lives they want. You have New Year's resolutions and goals and intentions. Many have hit the ground running until the International Quitters Day, which is January 19th, when most people will abandon their New Year's resolutions. So, I always think about life like a movie. When you think about your life as a movie, what kind of movie, if I was looking at a preview of your life, what kind of movie would I see? Would I see an action movie or a rom-com or a thriller or maybe a horror movie? So think about your life. If I was looking at different scenes, if I was looking at a preview of your life, what kind of movie would I see? All right. So when I think about, you know, the habits that we have in our lives, they're kind of like scenes from the movies of our lives, right? The habits that we have day to day are what make up our lives. So if you have the habit of nurturing yourself and taking time for yourself, likely the movie would be kind of like a movie that has you thriving and living a life of well-being, right? um if I took different snapshots of your life and looked at your habits, which are kind of like the scenes from your life, and let's say you're overworking and not sleeping and not resting, chances are the movie's gonna look like a burnout movie, right? It's gonna look like there's a crash and burn somewhere. So the habits that you have, the habits that you live on a day-to-day, moment by moment basis, they create and reflect the life that you live. So your habits are like the building blocks of your life. And so thinking about the habits that you have, right? Whether you're, on that new year, new me kind of situation, right? Where you're probably like, on a cleanse right now. Most people are on a juice cleanse or fasting, or, on a new exercise regimen, right? When you think about those habits, how are they going? How are you feeling about the habits that you have? Are you going to fall off the wagon on January 19th, or are these part of your life? Like, do you already have these embodied? So a lot of us struggle with habits when we look at the life that we want to live, right? So maybe you want to be fit and you're trying to establish an exercise regimen, right? How do you find the quote unquote discipline to live this, to create those habits and live the life that you're wanting to live, right? And so today I wanted to talk about the disciplines of the warrior. The disciplines of the warrior is a concept I learned from my mentor, Commander Mark Devine, who was a retired Navy SEAL commander, and in whose coaching program I was in the first cohort. I was in the pioneer cohort of coaches that he trained using the unbeatable mind, the unbeatable mind framework. And the disciplines of the warrior is actually in the book Unbeatable Mind. And it stands, it's it's articulated in a very powerful way. And the disciplines of the warrior, he talks about in terms of what you need in place to be able to live the life you want. But I, in my coaching practice, made it specifically focused on habits. So the disciplines of the warrior are authenticity, dedication, and simplicity. And so, being the nerd that I am, I use the acronym ADS: authenticity, dedication, and simplicity. And I use the acronym ADS because I believe that habits are like the ads of our lives, right? The commercials, the previews, the trailers of our lives. And so ads helps me remember that my habits are like the advertising of the life I'm currently living. So if you see the ad for my life, is it in alignment or is it not in alignment? Those little snapshots, right, from the scenes of my life. And so most of my clients are very busy, heart centered, mission driven professionals who are mostly physicians struggling with burnout and compassion fatigue and overwhelm. Now, I have people from different backgrounds as well. But when I first started, I was focused on only physicians. And so I began applying these principles from the disciplines of the warrior as a way of helping me adapt the habits that I wanted to specifically adapt in my life and then later in my clients. I began doing that after I read the book, and I focused it specifically on habits and began to see amazing results. Um, so I wanted to share it with you as a way of helping support your practice for whatever habits that you're wanting to form in 2023 so that you can live the life that you want to live. And so, disciplines of the warrior, DOW, right? I love using acronyms. So, the Tao, I call it the Tao, right? Being able to um, focus on the Tao takes out the drama and perfectionism and shame out of habit formation. Once you know that it's just about, you know, just finding ways to live in authenticity and dedication and simplicity, right? Then it takes away all the drama of, oh, I don't have enough discipline. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. All the shame and all the drama that we use to distract ourselves from the habits that we need to form. And so, before we run through the ADS, authenticity, dedication, and simplicity, I want to make sure that you understand the word discipline, right? Because whenever I say, "Hey, you know, what time would you like to go to bed, or what would you like your morning rituals to be, or nighttime rituals to be?" People immediately say, "Oh, I don't have the discipline. I'm not, I'm not strong enough," you know, and all of this like drama that's in our heads around who we are. Um, but when we talk about discipline, I love how Commander Divine talks about discipline as coming from the word disciple. So, you know, a disciple, it comes from the word disciple. So when you think about a disciple, you think about like a follower or a student, right? um Many of you are accomplished in all the things that you do, right? Some of you are doctors, some of you are lawyers, some of you are dentists. Obviously you have the tenacity, and some of you are stay-at-home moms, so obviously you have the tenacity and discipline to do these really really hard things in your lives. So not being able to form the habit that you have is not because you're lazy or not disciplined. You just need a framework that works for you. And for me, frameworks are everything, right? If I know the structure of something, if I can break it down, and I've seen it for my clients as well, if I can break it down, then and focus on little bits, little pieces, then it makes it easier for you to embody the things that you want to embody. So you're not successful in the habit that you're wanting to form because you're lazy or you lack willpower or discipline. It's that you need to find a way. You need to remember what you're a disciple of. You need to remember your why, right? So let's say you're trying to form a habit like meditation, right? um you want to meditate, and you're like, Yvonne, I can't meditate. I do it for 1 2 days and then I'm done. Or I forget, or something happens, or maybe I want to diet, I want to go on a diet, or I want to eat more plant-based. um and I eat 1 or 2 days and then I fall off the wagon, right? But again, it's not because you're broken. It's the discipline comes out of what you're a disciple of. So you need to remember what you're a disciple of. You need to remember your why. So according to the research, I believe I saw a lot of this out of the book Atomic Habits, which I really liked. Habits, virtues, and behaviors all flow out of identity, right? So the habits flow out of the identity. So I am a person who works out. If I can adopt the identity of I'm a person who works out, then I work out. So instead of trying to work out to be the person who works out, you take on the identity of the person who works out, and then the working out flows out of that. So instead of saying, why am I not playing guitar? I say, I am a musician. And then that makes you want to practice because musicians practice. And joining groups that have similar identities then helps you embody that identity, right? So remember what you're a disciple of. You have to remember your why, right? So when you take on the identity of the disciple, the discipline will flow out of it. So instead of trying to make yourself disciplined, think about why you're wanting to form that habit, what you're a disciple of. So, for example, for me, I'm a coach, right? And for me, I'm a coach, a facilitator, I'm a teacher, a speaker, all of that. But I'm a servant, and so I feel like a conduit for the work that I do. I'm a vessel. Being a vessel is a very important identity for me, because I want to be available for the work that I do. So because I want to be available and fully open to the work that I do, meditation is a no brainer for me. I have to be able to meditate so I can get my own crap out of the way so that I can be fully available for the work flow through me as I coach my clients or as I do my speaking and teaching and all of that. So for me, because of that identity of being a vessel, um, there are certain habits that flow out of that. So I'm not a drinker because of that, because I want to be fully sober and available for the work. And other things, there are a lot of things that are more private that I won't share right now. But the way I live my life is in a very ascetic way, because I don't want anything to get in the way of the work that I do. So this identity of the vessel is very important to me. I'm a disciple of being a vessel for the work to flow through, right? So I'm a disciple of coaching. Like this identity of holding space for people means a lot to me. So I'm a vessel that holds space for people and for the work to come through, right? So what are you a disciple of? What is that identity that you need to anchor into, right? Knowing what your why is, right? What are you a student of? What are you committed to, right? When you know that, then that becomes an anchor and a compass for your habit, right? It grounds you in the work, and it gives you direction for how you spend your time, how you show up in the world. So spend some time clarifying what's important to you. What's your passion? What's your purpose? What are your what are your values? What's important to you? And if you're not clear about that, think about who, your future self. Who do I want to be? Or on my deathbed or during my obituary, what would I want people to say about me? What do I want people to remember about me? Right? And so, like I said earlier, like this idea of being a vessel, a sheepdog for sheepdogs, a helper who helps other helpers, right? Because I'm a helper for helpers, right? All of my habits flow out of this identity of I'm not just training for myself. I'm training for at least 3 people. I'm training for myself, I'm training for my kids, and I'm training for my clients. Right? So it's never about me. It's for me, but it's also about the people I serve. So this identity of the servant, helper for helpers, a vessel, makes it about being available for the work I do, being of service, being available to serve, and getting my own crap out of the way. So when you're clear about what you're a disciple of, that's where that discipline flows out of. So take a moment now and just, journal about that. When you're clear about that, we're going to go into the meat of the disciplines of the warrior, which is the ADS, which I call ads, right? So we're going to do the quote unquote ads test. So if you're wanting to, form the habit of meditation or playing guitar every day, right? The first part of the ads test is the authenticity, right? Is this habit true or authentic to you? Right? And when I say true and authentic to you, is it true for you in terms of like what season you're in, right? Is like if you're trying to if you're trying to adopt meditation, for example, and what you're wanting to do, if you have young babies and you're wanting to do it like in the middle of the day, that's not going to work. Right? It's not authentic for you. It has to respect the time you're in. So you might want to shoot for the moon with your habit, but if you're going through a hard time, for example, and you have very limited bandwidth, that's not going to work. You're going to have to start little and then expand later. If you're a single parent or a parent with young children, right, that will affect what time you meditate. Do you have time for an hour of meditation or 20 minutes? Or maybe it's 5 minutes, right? So I'm self employed. I'm a single mom of two kids and I work from home, right? So for me, whatever I do, whatever habits I do, my morning rituals, I'm doing it 2 hours before anyone else, like 2 hours before anyone else wakes up in my house. I wake up 2 hours before anyone else does in my household so I can have time for my morning rituals. I meditate as soon as I sit up and as soon as I wake up. Like I meditate as soon as I wake up, sitting in my bed, because if I go anywhere else, I'm going to wake up other people in the house and then it's over. Right. So that's authentic for me, right? For someone else who is single without kids, they can wake up later and go to a nice spot in the house. They can meditate for an hour without, worry of disruption, except maybe if if you have a cat, then you're going to be disrupted, right? Or if you're a busy hospital director, you might have to squeeze in your meditation during lunch, right? Or between meetings. So that's authenticity. Is it authentic for you? You don't want to form the habit in a way that other people are doing it. You want to look at your life and your lifestyle, where you are in life, your bandwidth, and say, how can this be authentic for me? And then the second part of the disciplines of the warrior is dedication. Can I make taking action non negotiable? So you want to be specific about time and place and method, right? You want to be specific about when you're taking this action and you want to make it non-negotiable. So there's a thing that they say in the military where they say burn all the boats or have a hair on fire attitude, right? Which means that how would a man with his hair on fire approach water, right? He's going all the way. Like there's no distractions. It's just action is non-negotiable or you're going to have a burnt head, right? You're all in. There's no escape clauses. And um, you want to make sure that you don't have like the back door open for you to escape. So when I'm coaching someone and they say, well, I'll just do it whenever I can, or I'll do this, but if I'll schedule it, but if someone comes, I'll have to do it another time. That's an escape clause. You don't want any back doors open. You don't want, I'll try is an escape clause, right? I'll try. No, either, do or not do. There is no try, as Yoda says, right? Um, and so being able to make sure that you make action non-negotiable. For me, if I'm delaying, or like a lot of people, if you're saying, okay, sometime later in the day I'll do it, dedication is in jeopardy. There's no way, right? Something's gonna inevitably happen during the day that will keep you from doing the thing. So as I said earlier, for me, I've meditated every day for 7 straight years, right? 7 years, 20, yeah, almost 8 years in April, every single day, through thick and thin, through chaos, through tragedies, divorce, you name it. I've meditated every day through that. And the reason Why is because like my back door is locked. As in, if I'm alive, I have meditated that day. Meditation is what I do as soon as I open my eyes. So my dedication, I call it my dedication clause, is if I'm alive or I've opened my eyes today, I will have meditated before doing anything else so that I can be fully present and grounded for myself and those I serve. Again, there's that identity of the servant, right? So no back doors. And so for you, what's going to be your dedication clause or a commitment mantra, right? Being able to make that and putting that somewhere where you can see, you know, for me, if I'm alive or I've opened my eyes that day, I will have meditated before I do anything else. I always say I am not fit for human consumption if I have not meditated or had my quiet time, right? So that's the dedication, right? Closing all the back doors, no escape clauses. And then the third part is simplicity. Simple. Does the habit pass the simplicity test? Right? If you're making your habit like super complicated, then the habit is a non starter, right? You want to make sure that you make taking action as simple as possible, reducing the number of steps to as few as possible, right? So for you, what does simplicity look like? For me, it looks like, as soon as I wake up, I just turn on the inside timer, push start. I'm meditating, right? So I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing any guided meditations. It's just hit the bell and meditate. Like hit the timer and meditate. That's it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going for a cup of water. I'm not doing anything. I open my eyes, I sit up, push start. That's it. Right? So just one step. So for you, right, if you want to have an exercise habit, it could be, having your clothes already like laid out. I usually have my so I work out 5 days a week. I usually have my gym clothes on when I go to drop off the kids at school, and as soon as I finish dropping them off at school, not going home. No, no, no. I'm going straight to the gym. So it looks like as we're going for school drop off, my clothes are on, my shoes are on. Drop off the kids at school, straight to the gym, right? And so how can you simplify your habit that you're wanting to form, right? If it's complicated, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So again, the ads test, is the thing authentic for you? Is it dedicated? Is it easy to take action? Is it dedicated? Right? Are you dedicated? And is it simple? Right? Is it authentic for you in your lifestyle, in your the season of life you're in, the amount of bandwidth you have, your personality, right, is authentic for you? Dedication. Are there any back doors open or escape clauses that you need to close? Have you made action non-negotiable? And then simple. Do you have the minimum number of steps between the thought and taking action, right? So every habit you form is a reflection, a preview, an advertising of the kind of life you want to live as a disciple, right? So whatever it is you're a disciple of or a student of or a follower of, is that habit reflecting the kind of life that disciple lives, right? And so if you're struggling with a habit, and I told you I like to break things down. So pick the habit that you're struggling with and pass it through the ads test. Is it authentic? Is it dedicated? Or is it simple? Right? If any of these are violated, the habit will not stick for the long term. Right? And so if you find that one of them is out of alignment or being violated, then make the appropriate adjustments to bring that habit in alignment to the disciplines of the warrior or the Tao, right? So we're still coming out of the pandemic. Everyone's exhausted. Everything still feels hard. Everyone's bone tired. The last thing you need to do is beat yourself up about discipline and perfectionism, right? We all need grace. We all need self compassion and empathy, right? Take yourselves off the hook. Take yourself off the hook. If you have any habits, stop beating yourself up about it. You do have the discipline, right? You don't really need anything else other than just really being clear about why you're doing it. What are you a disciple of? What's the thing that, that's really important to you? And bring this into alignment. So that identity, forming that identity, then and taking it on, then helps you form the habits that are aligned with and authentic for that identity, which then makes taking those actions simple and non-negotiable. Okay. So this is the disciplines of the warrior. It's one of my favorite concepts. Again, I got it out of The Unbeatable Mind by Commander Mark Divine, retired Navy SEAL commander, and one of my dearly beloved mentors. And I just decided to adapt it into habits, and I'm hoping that he will write another book expanding on this, or maybe I will, who knows. But this is one of my favorite, absolute favorite concepts. And I've really found the disciplines of the warrior to be a very transformative tool for helping create the habits that we need to be able to embody that self mastery for service, to be able to serve sustainably and thrive as we make our difference in the world that we're here to make, without succumbing to burnout or compassion fatigue or overwhelm, right? So there you have it, one of my favorite concepts, the disciplines of the warrior. And now the ball is in your court. Go cultivate your light, and I'll see you next time. And if you need any help with any of these concepts, need a support, you can always sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. It's just your own time, you and me. We go deep into whatever concepts we need to go into to help you to begin to create and embody and live the life that you want as you make your positive impact in the world. There's also time, which is my group coaching as well, where you're getting that the coaching, but you're walking alongside some other like-minded, like-hearted idealists as well. And then there's also Dare to Lead that's coming up very soon, in a few weeks, February 23rd as well, where we can go deeper into other concepts as well. But I hope that you've enjoyed it. Looking forward to connecting with you next time. Now go cultivate your light, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.